Hola, merhaba, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Noor, and today we are going to be talking about anxiety, specifically coping skills to deal with anxiety or anxiety attacks that are effective and easy and you can do in a very short amount of time. These are tools that I have used over and over again, tools that I have learned in the past 6 years through treatment and through trial and error. They've definitely worked. I've tried them on myself. I've recommended them to friends and family. So I definitely think you should try them out and you will find at least one that will work for you. Full disclaimer, I'm not a doctor or a therapist. I am simply someone who lives with anxiety on a daily basis and has to deal with it. Skills, like I said, have worked for me, do still work for me. I use them every day. I use them today. So let's just jump into the video. If you see me looking down, it's because I've got my little dandy notebook right here with all my tips. My first tip for you is to deep breathe. Now, you've probably heard this one before, but when we're anxious, our breathing gets dysregulated, our heart races, and we forget to just breathe like a normal person. Like, breathing becomes like a hard activity. So take a moment to do some deep breathing. My favorite method is the 4-4-6. Basically, the idea is you inhale 4, you hold for 4, and then you deep exhale for 6. It's really easy. You can count in your head. No one will notice that you're doing it, and it'll make you feel better. My next technique is to do grounding, specifically the 5 senses grounding technique, which is to use your senses in order to ground yourself in the moment. I have used this one to calm a lot of people who have had panic attacks, and it really, really works. The idea is that you're gonna name 5 things that you see in your surroundings, 4 things that you hear, 3 things that you can touch, 2 things that you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. This should bring you back into the moment and help you feel grounded in reality. Tip number 3 is the cold. Now, this one's kind of weird, but it's really, really effective. I was telling my mom and she was like, yes, this absolutely works for me. So it also really works for me, so I highly recommend it. But the idea is to change your body chemistry. So for me, when I was in university, I used to work at the dining commons, and I was really struggling at my time at university with my mental health, specifically my anxiety. And a lot of the time at work, I would take a time out to walk into the walk-in fridge and just sit there for a minute and cool down. And it really helped with my anxiety. And obviously not everyone has access to a walk-in fridge, but everyone has access to ice, cold water, or a fridge. So here are some tips on how you can do the cold thing without walking into a freezer. My first idea is to hold ice in your hands. Now, get a few ice cubes and just like hold ice cubes in your hand. They're really cold, they'll help you regulate. Another idea is to kind of splash cold water into your face and just let it hit your face, like really, really cold water, as cold as you can get it. An idea, if you're having an impulsive type of anxiety where you're having a little bit of an impulsive crisis, is to fill up a bowl with cold water and ice and just like breathe in and then dunk your face in for 30 seconds. This is something I often use when I'm having borderline-like episodes. So when I'm feeling really, really impulsive or suicidal, this is something that I do. It takes a little bit more time than just like splashing your face with water or holding ice cubes, but it is really, really effective at shocking your system, which helps calm you down. Another thing you can do is jump into a swimming pool if you have access to one, or take a cold shower. Speaking of showers, my next tip is to take a hot cold shower. Now, you've probably heard athletes taking hot cold baths, and this helps release the tension in their muscles after a hard exercise. Well, it does the same thing. It's kind of the same idea. So when you're anxious, your whole body tenses up. And so in order to release that anxiety, a lot of the times I take a shower. This is actually my most effective and used method. What I'll do is I'll hop in the shower, I'll turn it in as hot as I can handle, and I'll stand under it for like 5 minutes. Maybe I'll shower, massage my head, whatever. And then I'll turn it to the cold side, as cold as I can stand it, and just stand there, wash off the conditioner maybe or whatever, and just, it'll really shock me, but your body will adjust, don't worry. But it just makes all of the anxiety just like rushes out of me. Like all of the tension in my body just like evaporates. It's amazing. My next tip is one you've probably never heard of, but is super effective, and that is a technique called progressive muscle relaxation. I highly, highly recommend it. And there are so many progressive muscle relaxation guidance videos on YouTube that you can use. The idea behind progressive muscle relaxation is that you're gonna release the tension in your muscles and relax them. So the way you do it is you start with your toes and you make it all the way up to your head. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna clench as hard as you can while breathing in, and then you're gonna breathe out and unclench. And as you unclench, like I said, you're gonna breathe out, and that's gonna allow your muscles to relax. So you're gonna start with your toes, then your whole feet, then your calves, your thighs, your buttocks, your stomach, you know, your hands, your arms, your shoulders, your jaw, your nose, your eyes, and then your whole face, and then your whole body. And eventually the tension will like leave your body and your muscles will relax. My next two tips have to do with the mental part of having anxiety, which is that a lot of the times, often when we're having anxiety, we're having these like negative racing thoughts in our heads. We're freaking out about something. So if you are freaking out about something, I have 2 tips for you. The first one is to write it out. Simple. Grab a journal, just like write everything, just like free journal, all your thoughts in there, and then close it. Bam. Don't read it, just let it go. Other idea is to get a piece of paper and write it out. You can do that as well. And then you can rip up paper to pieces or crumble it or throw it in a fire, I don't know. But the idea is to let go of thing that's making you anxious. Second thing you can do if you're having thoughts is to actually challenge them. Now this one's a little bit harder than all the other things I've suggested because it actually requires you to put in the type of effort that is mental. But what you're gonna do is you're gonna stop, literally out loud. Challenge your thoughts out loud. So you're gonna tell them to stop, take a step back if you need to, then observe your thoughts. See what's going on in your mind. What are these thoughts that are racing? What are you thinking about that's freaking you out? Challenge your thoughts and think about the reality. Are you catastrophizing? If so, are those the facts? Is that what's really happening? Are you at worst case scenario? If so, if you're actually at worst case scenario, what is the worst that's gonna happen? You're gonna be okay. It's gonna be fine. Whatever happens, you're gonna stand back up and it's gonna be okay. Just challenge your thoughts. It's, like I said, this one's really hard. It requires a lot of practice, but it does work. Challenging your negative thoughts does work. Challenge them with reality. Challenge them with facts. Challenge them with what ifs. Challenge them with positivity and gratitude, and you'll see that you'll feel a ton better. My next tip has to do with movement. Now, you've probably heard this one a lot, but moving helps you release endorphins, which help you release anxiety. So I suggest light exercise or movement when you're having anxiety or a panic attack. Things you can do are jogging, walking. My favorite way is to just shake it out, dance it out, put on some upbeat music and just like go crazy, let it all out, dance, have fun. It'll help you release some of the anxiety. If you're in bed and you're having an anxiety attack, you can't move, just like flop around like a fish. Honestly, it works. It really works. It's the type of movement that you need to feel better. And sometimes you can't get out of bed, but you still can do something to help yourself out with your anxiety. My next tip is to go on a mindful walk. So obviously, like I said, Walking is a great way to move your body, and it's a great way to release the anxiety, but you can also do a mindful walk. What is a mindful walk, Noor, you may ask? So mindfulness is being in the present moment and being aware of what's happening and observing your surroundings. So when you go on a mindful walk, what you're gonna do is you're gonna go outside and you're gonna try your best to observe your surroundings. What are you seeing? Are the houses the same colors? Do they all look the same? How many houses do you see? What colors are you surrounded by? Are there birds? Do you hear them singing? Are there leaves rustling? Do you feel the wind on your face? Do you feel sunshine on your skin? Is it raining? Is it fall and you can feel the leaves crunching underneath your feet? Do you hear them? Count the flowers that you see. Count the animals that you see. Just really focus on the present moment of your walk and everything that surrounds you. And you'll see that you'll be back in the present. My next tip is to use your senses. Now, when we're anxious, our mind is all over the place, our body is tense, and our greatest tool really is our senses. They ground us in reality, so use them. They're really effective. So an example is if you were to use touch, you could pet a dog or cuddle with a cat if you have one. If you don't have a dog or a cat, you can cuddle with a teddy bear or a stuffed animal. You can hug a pillow or cover yourself in a soft furry blanket. You can play with a rock that's rough in your hands, or you can massage some body lotion all over your skin. If you were working with smell, you could smell lavender essential oils, or even take a bath with lavender essential oils. That would be combining touch and smell. You could light a candle, or, smell your favorite food. If you were working with taste, you could eat sour candy. Take a moment to make your favorite meal and just really enjoy the taste of it. If you were working with vision, you could watch a fireplace crackling, or watch the rain fall, or watch the waves at the ocean. Being with nature is a really great way to calm your anxiety. And if you can't do any of those, you can sit down and watch a TV show maybe that's comforting for you, or maybe your favorite movie that isn't like anxiety inducing. So like, don't watch a horror movie when you're anxious. Those are just some of the many ideas of how you can use your senses. But our senses are really great grounding techniques, so I highly recommend you use them. Now, a lot of times we're in a situation where we just can't go anywhere or run away or, shower or whatever. We're not at home, we're at work, we're in the middle of a meeting, we're giving a speech, whatever, we're taking a test, whatever it might be, and we're starting to get anxious, we're starting to panic. Well, in that case, I suggest repetition. Repeat a positive mantra internally to yourself over and over and over again until you calm down. This too shall pass. I am okay. I am safe. I am enough. No matter what happens, I tried my best. Whatever it takes to calm you down, whatever positive mantra you have, just keep repeating it over and over in your head, and you'll see that you'll start to calm down, because positivity really does work. Telling your brain something really has been proven to work, and it's super easy, super simple. You're doing it in your head. No one's gonna notice. My next tip is very similar, and it has to do with reciting something from memory. So when I'm anxious, I tend to recite Quran verses. So I tend to pray. I'll recite Quran verses that I have memorized. I'll pick a verse, recite it 3 times, then I'll switch to another verse, recite it 3 times, and so on and so forth until I'm calm. Firstly, it helps connect me spiritually. Secondly, it helps distract me. And thirdly, it uses the part of my brain that saves up all these memories. And so I'm not thinking about the thing I'm anxious about. If you don't have Quran verses memorized, which I'm sure the majority of you don't, it doesn't matter. You can use Bible verses if you're Christian. You can use, if you're an atheist, no worries. You can use poetry verses that you have memorized. You can use Shakespeare if you have it memorized. You can use quotes from a book that you like. You can even use the Itsy Bitsy Spider song and like do the little hand motions. That might actually really work for you because it's kind of silly and it's funny and it'll get you out of a funk. So just reciting something from memory is really, really helpful. The antidote to anxiety is laughter. I truly, truly believe that. So if you're anxious, I suggest you laugh. It really helps release dopamine into your body, which helps relax the adrenaline that's rushing in your body. And therefore, you're changing your chemistry via changing your emotions. It's really, really helpful. And it's an easy way to release the tension of anxiety and change your mood. I personally like having things saved on my phone for easy access. So I'll usually have a folder of like videos that I like. You can have memes saved up. I have that as well. Things that are easy and short, cute cat videos, really hilarious videos on TikTok, memes on Instagram that you can save to your folder and just like scroll through them. It only takes a few minutes and you'll feel so much better after laughing. Obviously, if you have more time, you can watch a comedy special, you can watch your favorite comedy TV show, or you can even watch a comedy movie. My next suggestion is visualization. This is such an underused tool. It's very similar to meditating, but you're gonna meditate in your mind's eye. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna visualize your happy place. So for me, that would be a cabin in a woodsy area facing the ocean. So if I walk out, I'm surrounded by the ocean. It's in a nature area. It's decorated perfectly to my liking. Everything in it is beautiful and aesthetically pleasing and soft and comforting to me. And I'm just gonna visualize what it sounds like, what it feels like, what it looks like, as much detail as I possibly can. And guess what? Your happy place, it's gonna make you feel happy. And that happiness is gonna help release some of that anxiety. If you are feeling the anxious fear type of anxiety, then I suggest imagining your safe place. Visualize the place where you feel the safest. That can be in a person's arms or a physical location. For me, that would be my bed, for example. I imagine myself covered in my blankets in the dark. Everything's super quiet and I'm just like really, really hugging my pillow and my teddy bear and no one's gonna get me. Nothing's gonna happen and I'm just gonna fade away into sleep and not think about anything. And that brings me peace. The idea that I'm gonna go to sleep and just forget about the world brings me peace, even if I can't go to sleep in that moment. And finally, my last tip is if nothing works for you, then I'm sorry. But also, if nothing works for you, then, I suggest you combine a bunch of things and get as comfy as possible. There is something so calming about being comfortable. Get as comfy as possible. Put on your softest, cutest, fluffiest PJs, brush your hair, take a shower, light some candles, listen to classical music, get into bed and sleep it off. Trust me, sleeping it off works because emotions are temporary. The anxiety is temporary. It doesn't mean it isn't valid or it isn't real. It just means that it's gonna pass. And so if you can't deal with experiencing your feelings, which is really important, by the way. I'm not saying that you need to avoid your feelings at all times, but if you are in a real crisis, if you are having so much anxiety that you just can't function, I suggest you just try to sleep it off. That is the best way you can. And if you have a PRN, which is an as-needed medication for anxiety, then I suggest you take that and then go to sleep. Thank you so much for watching the video. I hope it was helpful to you. Remember that sleep, eating healthy, moving, avoiding drugs, alcohol, smoking, and caffeine are really important ways that you can long-term manage your anxiety. But I hope these coping skills are helpful to you. My suggestion is to try them in times that are not crisis times, because coping skills take practice. So go ahead and try them out, see which ones work for you. Try them out when you're a little bit anxious, so that when you're a lot anxious, you know which ones will work for you. You know how to do them. It's easy, it comes naturally. I hope these tips were helpful for you. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did, and remember to subscribe. I love you all. Bye.